And welcome to Canuck of the Dead. Since this show started, I've been waiting to do this episode, and I finally got these guys on here. Tonight, we're going to talk about one of my favorite films. It's in the poster right above my head. You can only see the bottom of it. But an amazing film to watch, to just sit back and have a blast. It's a film called Holy Hell. And today we have Ryan LaPlante and Alysa King. How are you guys doing?
So good. So happy to be here.
Yeah.
Me too.
That film is so much fun to watch. I still remember watching it with friends of mine. We were sitting on the couch, and everybody's looking at me like, "What are you making me watch?"
Yes.
And I'm like, "Shh, you're gonna miss stuff." It's like,
That was the feedback I got from a friend now who was seeing the movie as a stranger on the festival circuit, where he was like, for about 20 minutes, I couldn't tell if it was genius or just garbage. And then minute 21, it's genius.
And then you realize it's both.
Yeah. It's just, we didn't do it by accident. I think that's the big turnaround.
It's supposed to be like that. Yeah, you're supposed to think it's fun.
exactly. And now I'm gonna get everybody caught up. We're gonna play the quick trailer real quick, just so everybody can get a feel of what is Holy Hell.
Father, thank you for this day. Please grant me the strength and compassion to complete my children. There is so much hate in this world, and I'm here to remind you to keep responding to it with love. Everything happens for a reason. Let's start this party with a bang! God gave us free choice, and that turned us into murderers and rapists and thieving scum. Well, I'm here to pass judgment on all of you, and I pronounce you damned. I hate each and every piece of human garbage, and I hate God.
What about thou shalt not kill?
Some people say kill them all and the gods sort them out. Today I'm giving God the day off.
I thought you were supposed to forgive people.
Forgiveness for some, bullets for the rest. They say let he without sin cast the first stone. First stone cast, mother.
Best tagline ever on the film. So, with every interview, I got to start. Where did the kernel of this thing come from? Because
That's a fair question. In fact, it might be the only question one should ask immediately after seeing that trailer. And the answer was, I was directing. So this was shot in 2013. So this movie is, I think Alyssa and I were texting back and forth. We're like, it's been 8 years. Oh my God. So first of all, different time to begin with. We could all go outside.
So young. We look so young and like unjaded yet by the world.
Mhm. Yeah, that was an Obama presidency movie. But so I just come off of directing a stage production of Rent, which was like the most like touchy feely. Alyssa was in it actually. I don't think I've ever told this story.
I love this story actually because yeah.
So it's like the most sensitive, caring show when I was really like diving deep with the actors and really trying to make sure everyone was in touch with their feelings and really earnest and really honest. And then I finished and I was like, I want to do the worst fucking thing I could ever do in my whole life. I cannot feel anymore. And I sat down for 3 days and I wrote Holy Hell, because I had the idea of, well, like, what if a priest witnessed a bunch of murders and was trying to figure his stuff out? And I was like, that could be a good drama, but I can't shoot that. I got no money. So it would just look bad. So what if we did the stupidest version and then wrote, the most offensive thing I could come up with? And at the end of those 3 days, I'd accidentally left, because I print out drafts because I get paranoid about technology. And I'd left it on a table, and then my mom found it. And I just came downstairs and found her in her pajamas sitting on the couch with it sitting in front of her. And I was like, oh. And she just looked at me and said, never show this to anyone.
Well, I think you kind of broke that promise there, didn't you?
Yeah, and she's in it. So it's great. You know, I got her in it. She did some costume design. She's also in it playing Alyssa's mom in the movie.
Oh, man. The poster, I love the poster. I just, it sums up the movie in a drawing, which isn't done anymore. They're all pictures, you know. But
and
yeah.
if you buy a DVD, it's got a different poster on it that the distributor demanded. But that was ours. And that'll be the one on candles and on posters and on everything we send out.
On candles, you say?
Oh,
Oh.
Look at that. You had marketing out the wazoo then. Look at that.
Mhm. Yep, we got baseball caps. We did votive candles. We had hoodies made. It was a lot of fun.
I gotta show you something, Kate. I have to
Okay.
get it. It's right here.
Okay. How does she ever find anything in that house? Look at it.
I don't know. It's so big, you know, that I guess it's when you look around, you can just have the shelf space when it's so open concept.
Very, very true. So you decided to, like you said, deep to the bottom of the bucket and scrape the bottom up and then direct it. What
Correct.
made you decide to write, direct, and be in it?
Oh, let's see what Alyssa's got, and then I'll answer
Yes.
the question. Oh my God.
This is what they made for my child.
Little Hellion.
Oh, that's awesome. No way. That is awesome.
Literally size 3 months.
We got to represent. We got to represent with all generations.
Now there's merchandising and everything for Holy Hell. That is awesome.
Yeah, but in terms of writing, directing, and starring, it was kind of a stumble forward process because I'd never directed a film before. I'd worked on a bunch of TV series. Alyssa had done a bunch of films, but I knew there was not a ton of money, but we found some really exciting and great investors to come in through the process. The biggest challenge was just availability because we had a bunch of people coming in, like Alyssa, who there was no way we could afford to pay Alyssa what Alyssa's worth. So it was like, when are you free? And the answer was weekends. So we shot over almost 8 months. We were bouncing back and forth. Only in the last kind of 2 weeks did we have a solid week of shooting. Otherwise, it was all weekend pickups here and there. So when it came to directing, it had to be me because no one else was available. And the tone, it's really hard to try to nail the tone of that project while also shooting as quick and dirty as we needed to. And when it came to acting, I literally could not find anyone who I knew would show up other than me, because if I didn't show up, then it wouldn't work. I had actors I wanted. They just did not have the schedule. So it was like, well, it's got to be me. there was no one else.
So it's that independent film necessity is what that is.
100%.
Gotcha. So,
And then I don't know how, but I won 3 Best Actor awards for this movie. And that is still one of the funniest things I'm aware of about the film.
that's because you are Father Bane. That just, even now I'm looking at you and I can still see the father in you.
I mean, thank you, sort of.
yeah. I don't know if that's like a compliment or.
It's a compliment for the film. It's medium at best for me personally.
Let's go with that. Alyssa, I gotta ask. You signed on to be in this. Did you not read the script originally, or?
Ryan just sucks me into all these projects. I don't know what happened. No. Honestly, when I read it, I just thought it was so hilarious. It kind of reminded me of a cross between Team America World Police meets Hobo with a Shotgun. And we thought it was really funny. And I knew I would have a lot of laughs on set with Ryan. Like, we've worked together on so many projects. It's always like a good time. And we've been friends for a long time. So I knew it would be fun to do it at least.
Yeah. And I mean, I wrote the role very much with Alyssa in mind. And it was great to have her come on board to do that. But this movie was designed to, be completely ridiculously offensive. And that was for 2013. So this movie is so not woke that I'm nervous to show it to people now, which is crazy because I should have been nervous in 2013. I just wasn't. But I mean, it was such a blast. And having Alyssa come on, and a lot of the craziest stuff in the movie wasn't even me. There are like 3 moments that are completely fucking mental that I did not come up with. I went and did a table read with Alyssa and a bunch of the other cast, and I had actors come up to me afterwards and be like, I think you didn't go far enough in this scene. What if I blow my dad? And I'm like, what? They're like, why didn't I? Why didn't I blow my dad in character? And I'm like, yeah, I think based on the fact that I wrote this and the idea is this has to be as crazy as possible, I now have to include this because it's your idea. But that stuff is going to haunt me forever.
You were literally dared into it. That's what.
Yes, absolutely. Where they were like, you said you'd go as far as you could, and we think you could go further. Here is how. And they're the actors in the scenes. So it's not like I could be like, well, the cast won't do it.
Not when they're requesting it. That's
Yeah.
So when you first started into the filming, what direction did you start and what direction did you end? Because I imagine when you first started into the film, you had a certain mindset, but by the end, you're completely different. Is that true?
Yes. In the beginning, there were a lot more people on the crew when we'd started who'd come out. We were shooting in Kirkland Lake, so it's about 7.5, 8 hours drive north of Toronto. And we'd had like an official like DP, and we had a camera like focus puller, and we had a makeup artist coming out. We had all this stuff, and then within like the first 3 weeks of shooting, everybody who didn't really want to be involved after doing an 8.5 hour drive twice was like, fuck this, and then quit. Yep. And then our makeup people wanted to quit, but then came anyways, but then got busted driving like 180 in an 80 zone in like Sudbury and got their car crushed because of the road racing.
Oh, wow.
And listen, I still would have paid them for their time until they just refused to come to set after that, which also is pretty reasonable. And then after that, it just became who could do what. So, I mean, Alyssa was on set doing her own makeup, also helping with my makeup. We were improvising. All of the special effects that were done practically in this were designed essentially by myself and or my mom assisting occasionally with building appliances, and then put on set by everybody who was there. So
doing a bunch of that. Like when we were in Kirkland Lake, I remember making bullet holes and stuff like in your legs or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very much like who was around to do it. And when we were shooting in Kirkland Lake, some of the shoots, I cannot believe we even all agreed to. We stayed in the theater where we shot the finale, which was unheated in November in Kirkland Lake, sharing sleeping bags. There also wasn't a toilet because the toilets had all frozen. So you had to go to the bathroom down the street at the McDonald's. And we had a communal toonie for $2 coin for our American friends that anyone could take if they had to go to the bathroom at McDonald's. And if the McDonald's people stopped them and said they had to buy something, they had to come back with a receipt or they had to replace the toonie.
So we were on air mattresses too. And now, it was like freezing.
Correct. So we were running a generator. So we were shooting inside the LaSalle Theater. The people there were absolutely wonderful. All of Kirkland Lake was the best city in the world to have shot in. The community was amazing. We had a bunch of locals in the film. The city gave us blanket permission to shoot anywhere. So all of our exteriors, Kirkland Lake is the only town on the planet that'd be like, oh, you're shooting like this trashy, ridiculous movie? Go shoot anywhere. Go ahead. So we had a great time. The LaSalle is an amazing Art Deco theater that it was just in real disrepair at the time. They do theater at it and other arts now. But we got in just before they fixed any of it. So we'd go in and be like, all right, how are we going to shoot? And I was like, well, we don't have to change anything because it's disgusting. And they're like, what do you need for this room? I was going to say a chair, but there's a random toilet. So no, I'm good. We're going to sit on that toilet. That's the grossest thing we could do.
Well, I got to ask them, Alyssa, with this cold, I know your outfit in that is not, thermal. Let's just put it that way.
There was a lot of scenes where it was a little nippy, shall we say.
Was this ever discussed about changing in the process, or was this the way the costume was meant to be?
No, Amy's character is like centered around being in short shorts and a bra. Like it wasn't really an option to put on more clothes. Like that was kind of just her character. Like I suppose I could have. There was one scene that was like snowing outside, so I had on like a fur coat. We had to write in me getting a box of coats just so I could put on a fur coat for the one scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it was -18 and we were filming in a garage and we had to have the door open for lighting and we were like, no, Alyssa gets a full fur coat. We can't do this. The joke about the character, I mean, to try to intellectualize this movie is hilarious to begin with, but the joke about the character is that she's only in a bra and short shorts because she's a rebellious, teenager. She's also the most well-rounded and capable and sane character in the whole movie. Like, she's a trash person and she should be president of this world because she saves the hero's life. She's the only one that does anything that makes sense. But we knew we had to kind of preserve those gags because I really wanted to play with all of the trashy 70s John Waters style shoots combined with like 1980s completely tasteless canon
It's like,
films.
yeah, the choice for Amy to not be wearing clothes is like an empowered choice. That's like definitely her choice to not wear those clothes. That's what I meant about her character would just never do that because like would never put them on because it's kind of like her choice and her freedom to wear what she wants, and that's what she wants to wear.
Yeah, and she also does not get naked. That's her uniform. That's the deal.
Yeah.
And for me, I love the joke where any character who then upgrades their outfit to the badass outfit is in pretty much the same thing with just like slight stylistic differences. We still have a couple of sets at some point that I will bring out where people can make their own cross bras with the guns and the crosses to match. Because we had a couple of Ziploc bags that were going around and we're like, anybody who wants them, if you want to go home and make your own Amy bra, they're all yours.
That is crazy. No, this movie is full of spots that are just over the top, like you said, that are hilarious. What was the most bizarre thing? And after the toilet comment, I'm not sure how far it's going to go. What was the most bizarre thing that you had to film and then people were watching you film?
Alyssa, you want to go first?
I mean, that's really kind of hard to choose, but the first thing that pops into my head was the thing that we were filming and I was like on the toilet. That scene probably. I don't know. Yeah, and then like Father Bane walks in and I'm just like, no, it's okay. Just watch me go to the washroom and like I'm fine with it. And I'm just like gonna get into my wheelchair now. Like
yeah, she's done, so it's fine. Like, we really wanted to undercut all of the usual romantic tension of it's like it's not somebody coming out of the shower and you're like, ooh, it's like opening the door and they're just sitting on the crapper. So that was a good moment. I think ones involving Alyssa, the sex scene was ridiculous that she and I shot.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm crying, laughing, thinking about these things.
Oh god.
We had this
press
plan.
that memory, right?
Yeah, I know. But we had the idea that we'd had it all planned out. We thought we were going to have this long time to shoot it so it'd be comfortable and like we'd be able to math out all the shots. And then what we were shooting that day just ran so long that we were like, we have 11 minutes. So it was just Alyssa and I ridiculously inventing fake sex positions, and we just filmed nonstop. And for it went about it would be like 90 seconds of usable footage, 90 seconds of us trying to hide the fact that we can't stop laughing during this sex scene while the crew is watching, and then 90 seconds of all of us, just Alyssa and I, having that like nihilistic despair of like, what are we doing with our lives? This is why no one is making us do this. And then it would get funny again, and then we'd do the scene.
And I just remember like having to talk about the logistics since Amy was obviously disabled, so we had to like figure out the logistics of the positions too in that time.
Yeah. So Amy's
ridiculous.
character is shot in the assault at the beginning. We still haven't even described what happens in this fucking movie yet. But like, the log line is Father Bane is a priest who witnesses the murder of a family, and then he goes crazy, starts praying to a gun he names the Lord and hunting down the killers. Only it turns out the daughter of the family has survived and is now in a wheelchair, and she also wants vengeance and then teams up with him. And it's them kind of getting that vengeance. So yeah, we had to figure that out. And then one thing that makes the blooper reel for anybody who gets the DVD is one of the things that I thought was really funny was we had to ADR, like go do some additional dialogue recording. And one of the things we needed was blowjob sounds. So I have recording from sitting outside the booth of Alyssa and other cast members who volunteered to record blowjob sounds using either like lollipops or their thumb, and it is one of the funniest things I've watched in my
Oh
whole
my
life.
God. Is that on there? I don't think I've
Yeah.
actually ever. Oh God. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever tried to watch the special features. Oh no, Ryan. Oh God.
Don't worry. In terms of sheer embarrassment, I kept in about 70 seconds of me dancing to amuse myself in front of the camera at like 8 a.m. in Kirkland Lake. I'm wearing like a theater company shirt from first year university. My hair is awful, and I'm just like doing the weirdest shit. I asked somebody to score it, so they did. But one of the craziest days on set though was we were shooting. There's this evil villain called Sissy that's like my love letter to all of Rocky Horror in terms of like extreme violence, but also just like gender play and very much like a drag role that's really iconic. After you've seen the film, Shane McClurk, who played the role, is just incroyable in it.
Oh yeah.
But we were shooting a showdown with him and his army of like Rocky Horror dressed assistants, and we were out there, and we were shooting. There was a nightclub that I had a friend who owned, so we'd film some stuff in the nightclub, and then on the other side of the nightclub driveway was this go-kart track surrounded by trees. And we were there, and we were like, okay, so we'll shoot the showdown in this area because we can light it all and it'll be fine. But we had a bunch of guys and gals all in Rocky Horror style corsets with like bad wigs and hair, going back and forth to the shoot carrying like katanas, and like somebody just had a giant farm hoe, which I thought was really funny as a weapon. And we had them there. And then someone called the SWAT team because they thought there was like a criminal gang thing underway. So we were like, oh shit. And the guy who owned this bar, his name was Bryce Bunn, lovely human being, maybe 4'2", maybe weighed 85 pounds, like one of the tiniest guys I've ever met. And he ran out in front of a SWAT van. And when the SWAT guys got out, he started yelling at them because they were on private property and it was his bar. Meanwhile, in the background, I'm like, all right, everybody who's got a fake gun, huck it in the bushes. So we're all just like getting rid of fake plastic weapons so that we wouldn't get in shit for having them. And then Bryce actually yelled them down and made this. The SWAT had to leave the property because it was a nightclub. He couldn't get a noise complaint until 3 a.m. So he was like, it's all private property. You have no right. Get out of here. And then he got a lawn chair and he went out and just sat at the end of the driveway with his arms crossed because the police drove by every 5 minutes hoping he would be gone so they could shut us down. And we got to shoot right through till 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. The story took a twist because the police showed up. I thought, oh, that's nasty. Then the twist. That was
Yeah, it was an adventure. We did some crazy stuff.
So how did you come up with the family in this one? Because like you said, Sissy and the dad, and like, where did that family come from?
Yeah, so I was really influenced again by 80s movies, a lot of the like trashy canon films, as well as the ridiculous kind of like drag stuff. And I knew I'd also watched Hobo with a Shotgun, and I thought that was great. I'd watched Machete, and I thought that was really fun. So I knew Father Bane is a priest who goes crazy, and then he just becomes this like soulless, emotionless murderer who's just like, you're either good or you're bad, and if you're bad, he shoots you in the face. So he's not exactly an empathetic hero that the audience is going to get behind. They're not like, yeah, that guy who murders anyone who does anything he disagrees with. So I just knew the villains had to be so much worse than him for you to stay on side. And we also, having talked with everybody, it was like we're making a cartoon with live actors. So we wanted to have that kind of extreme thing. And I've loved villainous families, and I love when they make them all these really broad archetypes. So for me, it was like Buddy, the youngest son, is like a meathead coke addict train wreck who's just like a fuck up. If you took a Succession character and gave them a coke addiction and they just had been doing roids since they were 14, raised by like a serial killer, that's Buddy. And I was like, that's a fun one. And I know my friend Reese, who is a buddy of mine, was like, he'll knock it out of the park, and it's impossible to get him to keep his shirt on, so he'll be great. And then the two other kind of kids of the family, there was Trisha, because I was like, I wanted to have another female villain, and I was like, just vampire, just sadistic vampire woman for that. And then Sissy, I mean, I love Divine's performances. I love John Waters' movies. I love the level of tastelessness, and I think drag can be so liberating and so absurd and so arch and so delightful in films like this. And I was like, let's give Divine a run for Divine's money. Let's do as more fucked up shit. And that's where Sissy kind of came from. And then for Dokes, I just knew I needed a really great actor who could theoretically stay in charge of all of those characters. If you watched, it was like he's the greasiest of any of them, but he's the most powerful of any of them. And I knew I needed an actor for the sake of the story who could do the James Bond monologue at the end, because when you have a monotone hero, and like his sidekick is in a wheelchair and she basically just tells somebody to go fuck themselves, it's not like you're going to get a great back and forth between those characters. So you're like, okay, I need a character who can do almost a 7-minute monologue at the end that these characters get to react to. So that's where Dokes was born.
And how did you do casting for this then? I know you kind of suckered in Alyssa, but how did you find the people that did these roles? Because they, like Alyssa, you and everybody else, you were your characters in that movie, like without a doubt.
Well, for all the lead roles, I got lucky in that I've done theater and film forever. So Alyssa is a phone call away, because we both look for any excuse to get the other person on any project we're working on. So that's the other thing for this kind of a crazy project, was it's got to be something where everybody feels safe and everybody feels really supported, or it's not any fun. So all of the leads were people I knew when I wrote it. So it was literally just like, make a phone call, be like, hey, do you want to do this? And if somebody's like, yes, or in one case, they're like, yes, and later we're like, no, it would literally just be me going to my Rolodex and calling the other actors I knew, or like calling Alyssa and being like, I don't know who can do this role. Who can? And then Alyssa calling on my behalf, or calling other people to get them to kind of call in favors. And then a bunch of the small roles were just friends of cast and crew who were like, oh, this sounds crazy. Yeah, I'll come out. Or Kirkland Lake locals. There was one guy who plays the pawn shop owner. I didn't know him at all. We were at like a town hall meeting where we were like, we want to talk to the town about what we want to do. And they were really excited. And he was there, and he stood up, and he had just one of those like 90s shirts with like a wolf on it with like the moon behind it, but it was really run down. He was in like a
from
bad
Northern Reflections.
That is it. And like an awesome old beat up like jean jacket. And he's probably in his 60s, and he just came up and he's like, I'd like to be in your movie. And I turned to my DP and was like, there's our pawn shop owner. I don't need to cast this anymore. He's perfect.
He was just so perfect. Yeah, he had just a really unique look. And yeah, it just fit so well.
That's so cool that the town wanted to be so involved in this film too.
Oh,
they were awesome. Yeah, they were really, really great and friendly and accommodating. Yeah, we couldn't have done this movie without them on our side for sure.
Was this like a Coca-Cola Natural Born Killers thing where once it came out, they went, you didn't say it would be like that?
I don't know how much of the town saw it outside of the people who were in the movie, but the people who were in the movie were like, would come out to set and be like, oh yeah, I got a prostitute costume. We'd be like, we got to put fake cocaine on their nose, and then like make them look like a train wreck. And it'd be like, oh, do you want me to play this masked person who's like, you know, this is like literally a scene where a guy on the street's like, hey man, you know, and when Father Bane's having his dark night of the soul, and he's like, hey man, you want to fuck my wife? And there's just like this woman there, and she's like, I have a disturbing mask my husband wears while welding. Do you want me to wear that? And I was like, yes, please bring that. So she's this terrifying like mankind mask, and all she's doing is grunting. So like, it's not a sexy option. But this guy's like, hey, you want to fuck my wife? She's like, rah, rah. And it was one of the funniest things I have seen in forever. Made the cut. Brilliant. She's like, he'll never forgive me for using this mask, but I did.
Oh my God. That's so your website, where can people get this film?
All right, so you can go to holyhell.ca if you want to buy the DVD, which is great because that goes straight to us. The other thing is you can rent this almost anywhere. We're in the Xbox store, we're on Amazon Prime, like almost everywhere it's available. The trick is you want the movie with the priest, screaming priest on the cover, or it's like a red backdrop with a farmhouse and a gun. Otherwise, you're getting a Sundance documentary based around a cult, which came out, to be clear, 2 years after us on the festival circuit with the same name. But I will say it was one really funny screening in LA where an elderly couple came in thinking they were seeing the Sundance documentary. And I tried to intro the film and I was like, all right, it's good to have everybody here. You two look like you don't belong. Are you here for a documentary? And they're like, yeah. I was like, this is not that. You should leave. They're like, no, we'll stay. I was like, you don't need to. You don't want to. You should leave. And they're like, no, we'll stay. And about 5 minutes into the movie, they got up and just walked the fuck out. It was awesome.
It's like, I tried to warn you.
Yeah.
Where is it? There it is. Okay, just before we break, I want to show. There is the other poster.
That is the cover you will see on all the places you can rent it. So
that one or that one, and you will have a great time. Guys, thanks for doing this. Stick around. We got some bonus stuff coming up because we're going to talk about something they've got on the grill right now. They've got another project, and I want to talk to Ryan and find out how someone goes from this to a very country Christmas. So we'll be right back.